People searched online here. Look, there are moments when in every way, in every form, these propagators of the regime are being exposed. Bonner was completely humiliated this week when he tried to disrespect the flag. Earlier regarding Formula One, thinking he was above right and wrong. And today, thank God, we know he's nothing more than a promoter of the regime. Look, Bolsonaro, they were monitoring 24 hours a day. Now, with Lula, they have to cover up absolutely everything. The most outrageous things. This guy is speaking everywhere because obviously that was Alexandre de Moraes' plan. Arrest Bolsonaro, even though he's not in a trial, he's imprisoned like a political prisoner. Without being in a trial, they made up just to incriminate Eduardo Bolsonaro. And also Paulo Figueiredo, who has been doing a brilliant job over there in the United States. Over there in the United States, yes. And now everything is coming to light. Terra Angelica, and see how things are. Artists from the Brazilian people, they try in every way to destroy. This week we also had Zezé de Camargo raising the flag of Amnesty. Globo immediately had to intervene to go against the regime. But these artists with integrity, with dignity, stood up in support of the people. And they don't care at all. Who are these people? Are we really going to convince people that Brazilians don't like Zezé anymore just because Globo and others say so? I'm going to show you the difference here. I gathered several facts, right? To be able to dismantle, to unmask all these wicked people, the regime is desperate. Even with Bolsonaro in this whole situation, all these atrocities happening to the greatest political leader in this country's history, they didn't achieve their goal, which is to try to turn the people against those who truly have the hearts of Brazilians. I'll show everything here. Hit that like button, smash that like button, come join our family, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. This week, my friends, we had it, right? Zezé Camargo raising the amnesty flag and everything. And what did we notice? Immediately, I'm setting it aside here to show you. Globo did a report that shows how desperate the system is. The system is desperate. After all, right? These characters are able to deliver the message to the Brazilian people, to the people. First, we had Gustavo Lima at his farm, at his house, at his mansion delivering. Several sertanejo singers went there by plane. Obviously, they've been around for years. They built their wealth honestly in the right way. Globo made a short video and even sent one of Lula's influencers, right? Gustavo Lima gathered businessmen and singers at his mansion in Bela Vista, Goiás. Videos show a scene that looks like a caricature of a country that we are not. Helicopters landing, private planes lined up at the entrance for artists and millionaires, toasting, laughing, and talking about money. Then Lula's influencer here says, right, that's why Lula has to tax the super rich and all that. Wait, hold on, Bonner is super rich. Fatima Bernardi, just from advertising Bonner's ex-wife, let's put it that way, Bonner, Fatima Bernardi's ex. They received millions of reais from JBS. People start to forget, right? To advertise sausages with cardboard, remember? Sausages with cardboard and all that craziness. And then other influencers also put everything, the most irrelevant ones, to talk about Gustavo Lima. This person is a public servant at Pedro Romo, a geographer and social communicator. Some poor people get Bolsa Familia but still oppose taxing millionaires. It's impressive considering that Lula is one of the richest people in the country. They even nicknamed Haddad the tax uncle. And after the huge buzz about Zezé de Camargo lifting up his shirt, right? In support of amnesty for people who don't have footage, they should make some and prove that they did something. After all, Flavio Dino, right? He said that the footage is not available, and Zezé de Camargo brought it up here, right? The Amnesty t-shirt and all that. It was nostalgic, right? For those being treated unfairly, Globo went and reported it. The show report, in which Zezé Camargo asked for amnesty for Bolsonaristas, cost 450,000 reais from the public coffers of a city in Santa Catarina. This is Globo, it's Globo. But they just don't tell you that the show was free. People didn't have to pay for tickets to attend Zezé Camargo's show. The shows that, for example, Caetano Veloso, Chico Buarque, this group puts on. By any chance, do you get in for free? No, you don't get in for free. You're paying through your hefty taxes, those huge taxes. Gilberto Gil alone received 4 million from the Postal Service, while Caetano Veloso and Maria Bethania got 23.5 million in state sponsorship. And for these wicked people, it doesn't even help if they try to lie or make up a different situation. Look, it's already everywhere here. Banco do Brasil and Correios are investing $23 million. Even during the biggest crisis at Correios, these people couldn't even use their health plan because the government didn't cover it, didn't pay the provider that supplies the health plan for Correios workers. And for these things here, you pay for a ticket, it's a little over 1,000 reais, and it's really for nothing, it's just for nothing. Now, Zezé Camargo, everyone got in for free. Now, the funniest thing is that it seems like you come in here, look at the comments on Globo's page, really? I'd like to know how much that out-of-season carnival by the Rouennais freeloaders and their little show cost. To bring in half a dozen people. It was actually a bit crowded, but obviously it was a show, it was free. That was the only time they did a free show. I laughed for the people. The role of the press is unbelievable. Every year there's a gay parade and it gets public funding. You don't publish a single word about the agenda because you're part of the little agenda. Everyone here is complaining. Meanwhile, Dario Messer gave dollars to the Mourinho brothers. And this show here, how much did it cost? Find out which Globo artists supported acts against Amnesty. Show us how much the fortune of the Larapio brothers increased. Here, the Mourinho family. Look here on Globo's page. Check it out on Globo's page. There are no positive comments when they talk about Zezé, when they try to turn people against these popular artists. This week, we saw one of the biggest. I didn't know who this woman was. I'd already put her here, right? I didn't know her. Who is mocking Bandeirantes, claiming she had a bigger audience. Of course, the regime is funding all the perks. Under Bolsonaro, Globo was going bankrupt. With Lula, Globo rebounded. Why? Lula needs Globo badly. After all, his narratives are famous, as he himself says. They won't be able to reach the public. He's irrelevant, mocking, making fun of the networks. Then came Bonner, making that little face of, no one was watching. Come on, one more. And he left Globo. Man, this guy is really indecent. He's really indecent. I hope one day he faces consequences for his crimes against the Brazilian people. But the best thing we saw was Felipe Campos. He called him a hustler, put him in his place. Hustler. Let's take a look here. Disproportionate, idiotic mocking.
A guy who was completely out of line had to leave. Why don't you say, including that you asked for your retirement so you wouldn't be put in and labeled even by law? Especially because your children study abroad and you need it.
Bonner was afraid of a fine or losing his visa, and he would never be able to visit his children in the United States. He has a child studying there in the United States, that's how it is. I mentioned it here, right, in the video I made? Their children studying abroad, ours here in public school. He was afraid of losing his visa. He knows what he did last summer, especially during the pandemic.
And to the United States, right? Did anyone catch what happened? You're slick, man, slick. You know exactly how the story goes, okay? Because you might even be at the center of the information, but you don't have the power of the news in your hands. You can be sure of that because the social network of someone who really knows how to use it is blessed, you know? And you are simply trash. You are a disgrace. You are just a guy who should be forgotten as soon as you retire. Because of this and other issues that you promote too.
You said it, Felipe. I really like his journalism. And this other scene that we see here, I showed it yesterday, right? Angelica was pressing Lula that it was necessary to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. See her worry, right? And to take an even bigger step, let it be a black woman, said the host. And Lula humiliated Angelico, humiliated Andre Sales, humiliated those personalities who were asking him, right, to appoint, right, a woman to the Supreme Court, right? But it gets even worse for Angelica. Look at this image here. This is Ruben's wife. It's Rubens making a recording, possibly out on the streets of Rio de Janeiro. Rubens, light of Rio, right? Of course, mobile location light. Because if they need to go up the hill, they need to talk, have a conversation there and all, set up all that equipment. Hey, who's holding the umbrella for us? I honestly don't know why these people dislike the sun. Isn't it nice to get some sun? I love running at 3 in the afternoon, 3:30, right when I release the afternoon video. I grab my rosary and hit the street, sometimes even a little earlier. I've had this habit for years. But these people, Wagner Moura too, right? The black guy holding the umbrella for him, right? Daniela Mercury. And they still have the nerve to tell us that they're not what you guys are thinking. It's a black worker holding the umbrella for the white girl there. She doesn't have such rosy cheeks. Wagner Moura. Same thing happened in Bahia with Daniela Mercury. Since they're not even hypocrites, what they do is almost criminal, isn't it? Because they turn these people against the public. They think that because we're Bolsonaristas, we're labeled as all the ists, like fascists and everything. Everything. When it comes to supporting Israel, huh? Not even Luciano Huck being Jewish. The guy! He stays quiet, silent, just a little note, a tiny note here and there, that's it. And it's these people who are giving all the support to Alexandre de Moraes and the whole regime. People like that are hypocrites. This right here, huh? He must be worried about a woman on the Supreme Court, right? Does he just want to hold the umbrella for the other members? Man, how hypocritical they are, right? That's why we should show this video to more community members like Zezé. Gustavo Lima, how many years has he been around? We watched him grow from a young child into who he is. Those people have never been on the side of the people. They're on their side to hold the umbrella. Share this video on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, and like it. Join our family and subscribe to the channel. I'll return soon with more updates on Paise Filhos, Fabiano Guiguet.